So I want to share my experience on inner child work and why this was so profound to me recently. Okay, so it started with, well, I've had signs like over the past year, 2 years, on and off of doing, hey, you should do inner child work, you should do those inner child meditations and things. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I kind of do one and forget about it. You know what I mean? Over the years. So anyway, recently, Julia Ayers posted a podcast episode on her show Duality of Life podcast. So she talked about her experience, how she's healing her inner child. And I was like, oh, this is good. I love her. I watch her videos all the time. So, yeah, I was just excited to see what she had to say. It was very interesting. It was very impactful to her just to hear her story and how she handled it with like what she was dealing with, right? And that got me on like a train, like a brain train, where I was like, okay, mental note, I need to do this. Like, she inspired me, like, okay, actually prioritize it, like, do something about it, okay? So then I made a mental note, right? And then after that, it was like the same day, Kaya Cortez, so I did a podcast episode with her, season 2, episode 11, about the Akashic Records, okay? So she posted a thing on Threads saying, basically like, here, write me a question or like something and I will give you like a channeled message, right? So I message her and I'm like, okay, blah, here's my message, about basically like I wanted to work on me receiving attention and not being scared of it, and specifically from women. I still get very like scared sometimes, honestly, like intimidated, anxious, nervous, with giving attention to women and receiving it, which kind of seems weird because like I talk to people on my podcast and they're women, so it's like, why is that a thing? And I guess it's more so like the on the fly stuff, like a podcast. Like, I have friends and stuff, but like, it's especially now as an adult, like I've gotten more social anxiety, so like I have friends or whatever, but like a podcast, I can prepare for that. I either reach out to them or they reach out to me, and then I'm like, I feel prepared to handle the interaction, right? But on the fly, like if I'm somewhere, I just like freak the fuck out sometimes, and I don't know why. And there's no reason to like to get like nervous around people, but I do. So yeah, that's basically what I said. I'm like, I need help with this. Like, what the fuck's happening? And her channeled message was, I think you should did something happen to you when you were a kid about like maybe receiving attention from girls and like it hurt your feelings. So basically like she felt as if it was like elementary school, like young kid time. Maybe I wanted to play with like somebody or be a part of this girl's friend group, and like they didn't want me to play with them at recess or like something like that. She was like, you know, I don't know what exactly it is, or like how old you were, or like if you can think of a memory specifically, but that's the vibe I'm getting right now. So like maybe you should do some inner child work on that. And I was like, holy shit balls, like, because it was the same day that I was like, I need to do inner child work, and then Kaya was like, you need to do inner child work too. So I'm like, okay, clearly I need to do inner child work. Like, make this a priority, like actually do it, because this is like, you're getting signs. Like, don't be the bitch that hides from her signs, that she's getting signals from source, from universe, from whoever you think it's from, that, you know, in the past I'd be getting signs and then I just like brush it off, push it away. No, I'm getting these signs, like, so I'm like, okay, I need to actually listen to them and do something. So the next day, I chose to do inner child meditation, and sometimes there's like guided meditations that you can do. I mean, they're on YouTube, they're like all over the internet if you just Google them, right? And I've done those before, but this time I wanted to just explore my mind, you know, explore my consciousness. So I just put on some like heart chakra frequency music. It's just like instrumental, kind of like relaxing like music, what you would hear at a spa or something, you know. So basically, yeah, I turned that stuff on, laid there, and I just I tried to get, I got myself relaxed, and I basically started the first memory I could think of as a kid. And a lot of my childhood I don't remember. And I don't know why I don't remember, and it's funny because I even told Kaya that, and she was like, well, we kind of block things out that are hard for us. Like, it doesn't even have to be like super traumatic, like, anything like super heavy or intense. It could just be something we perceived as traumatic. So, like, we just block it out as a survival thing, right? So that's probably why. Anyway, so yeah, I start with the first memory I could remember, and it was probably like, first grade-ish memory. It's like the vibe I got, but I wasn't sure. And so I went through that memory, and I just sat in it. I talked to myself, like, it's like I visualized it in my mind, like as if I was watching myself. And so I only remember just like barely a piece of it. And so in that moment, I just like talked to myself. Of course, I'm talking like in my head, right? I'm just like laying there thinking through all this, but I'm talking to her. I'm talking to what, explaining, what's happening, and ways I can help her understand it. Because at the time I couldn't understand what was going on, but now, since I'm an adult, I have the ability to like have a different perspective and can explain it differently to her. So yeah, that's basically what I did. And I went through different memories of my life, different phases of my life that felt impactful, because that's what popped up to me, and just kind of talked to myself through all these moments, all the way up until like my teenage years. And it was so profound. Like, it was like therapy. It's so wild how something like a meditative experience can be so therapeutic and healing for you, when you're like literally talking to and acknowledging younger versions of yourself. It's like those versions of you are still inside you. What they picked up on, what they've learned, what they've experienced is all inside you, whether you push it away or not. It's still there. It's still in your subconscious. It's still in your heart. It's still there. And it was just so profound to me to like go through and just talk to different versions of myself, to reassure her, to love her, to hug her, to just be like, I'm here for you. I see you. I see why you felt the way you felt then. Here's another perspective, like, that might help you better understand what's going on, that maybe at the time you can't really get, you don't understand, but maybe if I say it this way, you'll get it. Just saying, like, these people did things from a wounded perspective, like, just like when we are hurt, we project things onto other people, we project our hurt out. Other people do the same to us, and when we're younger, and even when we're older, but especially when we're younger, like, we have a hard time understanding that. We have a hard time wrapping our head around why people do what they do, why they say what they say, why things come out like that, and it's like, now as an adult, as someone who can reflect back on those memories and try to like make sense of them, I can see more so where these people were coming from, and maybe what they were experiencing, where at the time I couldn't really see that. It was just very validating. It was very healing for me. I talked to myself through limiting beliefs. I talked to myself through just like things I was feeling that I really took so personally, and like it even affected me like now, like stuff I grasped onto back then. It's like I'm still working through it now years later, how to work through it, how to let go, how to rewire those beliefs. It's just it's a big thing. It's a lot of work, but I guess I just wanted to share my experience, and why I guess more so that like all the signs pointing to do it all happened so fast. It all happened kind of like back to back, that it kind of freaked me out, but like in a good way, that I'm more in tune with it. I'm more like, I'm acknowledging it, and I'm actually taking action Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I'm getting more in tune with the signs, universal signs, and with my intuition to just like connect to things and actually take it seriously, because I do feel like that's going to help me propel myself into healing, into growth and expansion. So yeah, there's my experience with inner child work. Definitely like look into it, try it, listen to Julia's podcast episode that can give you some more like perspective on it, and you know, maybe you could learn from somebody else's experience that is, you know, she talks through it for like, you know, it's a whole podcast episode, it's a lot longer than this, that, you know, she just shares her experience with it, what she did and what's helped her. And there's other ones, like I said, on YouTube. Just Google inner child meditation. You can start with a guided meditation if that is more your thing, if that's like easier for you to, you know, as a starting point. And I also think another thing that I just saw this today too. Wow, oh my god. This one made a reel, and it was like, if you could babysit your younger self, what would you do? And then do that for you. Do that for you today. And I was like, oh damn, that's good. Because, you know, if it was me, if I could babysit my younger self, I would. Well, my first instinct was to do art. So to color, to paint, to draw, to doodle. Even just like a coloring book or like something like that. And then my second thought just now, like as I asked myself that question just now, would be to play Pokemon. To play Pokemon on a freaking Game Boy, man. I loved that so much. That was my jam back in the day. Pokemon, I loved it. So yeah, insight on inner child work. Ask yourself, what would you do if you could babysit your younger self, and then do that today for yourself.